Hey, how's it going? Hope everybody had a good day. Today is Wednesday, I believe. Um, had a pretty good day today. My week so far has been pretty. It's been pretty decent. Not really. Not. I don't really have anything to really have any qualms about this week. Um, you know, something that happened uh for a while now. I really wasn't paying attention. And I was having some issues with my phone and different things. It was cutting off. I think one time I was working on my car, and every time I cut it on, it would just cut back off. I cut it on, it cut back off. That's all kind of problems. And I came home and I put it on the charger and everything. And I thought it was okay because it didn't really give me any type of a any issues. So I kept doing what I was doing, and I would plug it in, and it would kind of not give the charge that it was supposed to give, or it took too long, or what have you. So I thought it was the cord. So I would dig around in my junk drawer, find some some cords. So I had looked on my phone before and I saw this little gap on my phone. So I said, okay, I will when I get a chance, I will take off the casing that's on my phone and I'll, get the what I thought was a these little uh steel plates that I put on. I put one on the phone and I put one on the outside of the case to so it'll stick to the magnetic mount that I have in my car. So when I finally got around to it this morning, I went to took it off. I went to take it off the casing. So I take it off and there's this big bulge on the back of my phone. So I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And this was after I did my thing. I, ate my breakfast and watched a little TV and said, well, let me try this before I head out. So I looked at it and I'm like, man, this thing is, something's really wrong here. So not knowing what was going on at first, I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. It looked like the battery was bulging out and the phone was splitting apart by the seam, but the phone was still working. It still works right now. So I said, okay, I need to get another phone. So my favorite is because I'm through Boost Mobile. My favorite is the Celero 5G Plus. Beautiful phone. Has a 8-core processor, octa-core processor. And it's a great phone. I love it. I got one before. That's the first one I got. And I was going to get another one, but I accidentally ordered a Celero 5G. So I had that sitting around the house. I was going to give it to my daughter, but she never really made any effort to get back with me and get the phone or whatever. She did the same thing with I was going to give her a car. She never really did anything to do that, but that's another story. So I spent the last like 15 minutes trying to order a phone and get that all straightened out and things of that nature. I got it done. So I leave out and I'm working with this busted phone, which works fine. It's just the battery is bulging out. It's swollen from, I watched a YouTube video and it said it was swollen from like gases or, that kind of thing. So I'm riding, doing my ride share or whatever. And the phone, I'm looking at the battery meter on it. So the phone dies. So I said, okay, let me plug it in. Then my plug started acting up because the plugs with the cigarette lighter type of charger, for some reason they get like rust dust in there. So you have to kind of twist them around so they get a good contact. So I did that, and then what did I say? I plugged it in, and I'm looking at the battery meter on the phone, and the battery meter it's not going anywhere. So it's like this thing is only running because it's plugged in. So I'm like, okay, I can't unplug this thing. So I'm, doing my rides, and today was a pretty good day. So I'm riding around and I'm thinking, okay, how do what am I going to do? So I said, okay, I need to go home and get my the 5G, because I always use the 5G plus on a normal basis. So I'm doing rides, and I think about it, and I said, maybe did I leave the 5G in the car? So I drop off a passenger, and I look in my glove box. I'm in luck. 5G is in the glove box. So a couple more rides, and I'm thinking about, okay, let me pull over. I actually turned the app off because I was going to pull over and do the whole, switcheroo with the SIM card and all that kind of stuff. But come to find out, I didn't have one of the little pokey things that you stick in that little slot to get your SIM card out. So I end up going to a customer ended up wanting to go to a phone store, make an extra stop. So I went in there and I asked the guy, do you have any spares of those little things? Lo and behold, they only keep one, which is, why would a phone store only have one of those things? If he loses that, then what? But, it was his story. I let him tell it. So I took that customer to where he was going. And then just so happened, this happens every now and then. It happened like twice today. I think it's like Lyft teasing me. One customer, I dropped him off right in the building in back of mine. Same complex. And when stuff like that happens, I think it's like Lyft trying to tease me and saying, here's your house right here. You could just as easily go home, lay down, call it a day, be done with it. I think they were testing me. But I said, you know what? I am going to go home, because I said, well, I thought I had one of those little pokey things in the house, but I went in, I had to use the bathroom, and I went in and looked for one, but it wasn't in there. So I said, okay, I'll wait till later. So I had another ride that was right in back of the store that I go to, which is right up the street. So I dropped him off, and then I fiddled around a little bit, and I was going to go to a phone store again. But I said, well, what else can I use? Because I didn't really want to go all the way to a phone store. So I found I took off a key ring that I thought would fit, and I had to kind of straighten it out and wiggle it around in the hole because it was just a hair bigger than the hole that that the little needle thing that goes in there to get your SIM card out. So I finally did that, and I sat there for a minute, getting the phone set up because I really didn't want to do it when I got home because today is my exercise day, and I just wanted to get home and do whatever I needed to do. I didn't want to get home and wrestle with a phone for a half hour. So the good thing about it is I did get it done, and the phone, the 5G has an email account on it that I usually use. The 5G Plus didn't have an email account that I usually use. It had an account on there, but it wasn't one that I usually use. So it's like the 5G has the account that I use on my computer when I get home. So it's good that I got that one all set up, and the 5G had all of my apps on it also. Now that was a good thing. So it worked out pretty good, and I exercised and everything like that, and I got that done. But I also wanted to talk about something. I was chit-chatting with Copilot today, and I explained to Copilot that I'm a person, I don't know, a lot of people, people don't like me or whatever, or they're always angry or got an attitude or whatever. And, sometimes people say that the excuse they use is that, that's the energy you're giving off. I don't really buy that, because if I just walked in the room, then how am I giving off energy that's bothering you and I'm not talking to you? But you're over in the corner steaming. No, that's something inside of you that I'm reminding you of. I'm reminding you of something that you want to do, you're not doing. You're mad at me because I'm doing it. Just all kinds of stuff. So, and I also told him that I had some incidents with my family, and basically, I like Copilot and ChatGPT because they explain it to you in a simple, don't care about your feelings or the person you're talking about straight way. So I was talking to ChatGPT, and they said, basically with the situation, and I kind of already knew this, that my family has, and a lot of families have this, have what you call conditional love. And, it's kind of, as long as you're of use to them, then everything is good. But the minute you become unavailable, then there's a problem, and you're this villain now because you became unavailable. And I had some situations with my family that I just said, you know what? I just took myself out of that situation. And it was part of me doing the work on myself and just saying, you know what? I love myself. I'm in love with myself, and I'm not going to let anybody come around me that is disrupting my peace. And that's even family, that's friends, that's whoever. I'm not going to do it, because I deserve to be in situations where people are happy to see me, whether I'm helping them out or not. I don't deserve to be around people that are, just, in the back of their mind, they, kind of smiling in your face, but inside they actually have something against you. And that's what happens. And that's that's including family. I have a cousin I love to death, but the truth is she plays in your face because she has like this. I would say it's like a celebrity complex or whatever. I mean, the best way to say it is like in her mind, because she has a job, she claims she makes $220,000 a year, which is great. But in her mind, she's like Diana Ross, security and all. And it's like, dude, you go to work just like I do, and don't get me wrong, because I know, people listening to this are going to say, well, he's jealous of her. No, I'm not. I'm happy for her. I don't really care, because the thing that I found out is that to care, number one, only haters care, right? People who are invested in themselves and working on themselves don't care, because you're spending too much time on yourself, And if you do care, that means that you're not spending enough time on yourself, because you got time to care about somebody else. Haters care because they have what? They have tons of time to worry about somebody else's business. And that's why haters care. But me personally, I'm, up at 2:00, 2:30, and, I am cutting stuff off to get to bed by like 7:00, 7:30. So I'm, busy all day long, 7 days a week, and I love it because I don't have time for anything else. And I think, I personally think that I spent way too much time with, hanging out and all of that kind of stuff when I was younger. And I want to say that hurt me, because I didn't spend enough time on myself early enough to realize this. But, that's part of growing up. And it was really strange. It really was, because it was just like, I don't know. I wish I could have been like, what's that girl's name? Marsha Martin. Great individual. She was, I think she owned a production company at like 21, 22 or something like that. Just out the gate, acting, investing in herself, just, absolutely, just knocked it out the box, but, the sad part is most men, we don't really mature until we're like in our 40s or 50s. And, that's, I don't know, something I usually don't do, but I will say, give women, real women, an apology, because it's, I don't know, we take way too long to mature. And I think that's one problem with me. And that's another episode, but what was I saying? I did think about that, and the whole family issue, and also that I was telling ChatGPT or Copilot that I only want to be around people that are doing something. I want to be around people like the Breakfast Club. All of them are doing stuff. They're doing so many things that the only time that they have left is family. That's it. They got time for work. They got time for family. They got time for vacation. They do not have time to hang out, to do this, to do that. It's all about family, work, and vacation. I mean, that's what time it is. And I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, what if I was on the Breakfast Club? I mean, I would literally be motivated to be like, they do the round table thing. So what are you doing this weekend? And I'd have to figure out, let me get my butt in gear, so I got something to say, for what I'm doing this weekend. Because I don't want to be the only one where they get to me. What you doing this weekend? Nothing. Just chilling. And they're gonna be like, you might wanna we'll give you a second chance when we do this next week, and you need to have something going on. And which is fine because that's motivation. That's what I want to be around. Motivation. I want to be around people that motivate me. I do not want to be around haters. I don't want to be around people that don't have any drive. I don't want to be around people that don't, especially not people that talk about other people. I don't want to be around negative people. None of that stuff. And, the sad part about that is, as some of you might be assuming, yeah, I cut everybody off. Everybody. Because it's like, I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to keep, trying to fit in everybody else's world, and have and be and associate with people that hate me because I work hard and want to get stuff and want to get to a certain point. And, you got everybody, you turn your back and dude got his nose turned up, or you get this funny feeling around them because you turn your head and you got one guy looking at everybody else, acting funny, that's just not that's just not my thing. That's not my thing at all. So, that's just something that, something I wanted to talk to you all about and get out on this particular episode. And also, I did, when I was out also, I did figure out my Rodecaster Pro sound, which I'm using right now to test it out. I'm using the 528, the de-esser and the expander and the compressor. And then on the Rodecaster, I'm just using the podcast preset, and I kind of adjusted that so it's not too bassy or anything, and it's as close to the 528 setting that I had as I could get. I might be able to cut it down a little bit more, but it's pretty close. And I'm gonna test it with ChatGPT and kind of see what ChatGPT says, because it gives me it does a spectral analysis of it and gives me the settings just so I can see, how this sounds compared to the 528 file. So, it's like I said, it's a work in process. It's definitely a work in process. So it's just something that it's just something that is it's just a work in progress. That's really all I can say. It's just a work in progress. And as you can see, if you're listening to the podcast, it's getting a lot better. It's definitely getting a lot better. And if you get a chance, go check out my other podcast, Stuff You Should Think About. Would definitely appreciate it. Give it a listen. I'm at, I think, on that podcast, I think I'm at 70, 71 episodes, I think. So we're getting there. Definitely getting there. And hey, I hope everybody had a good day. And if you didn't, it's still tomorrow, provided you wake up, in which, as I always say, hopefully you do. Because every day that you wake up is what? It's another opportunity at life. It's another opportunity for your goals. It's another opportunity for you to say, hey, this is where I'm going to start changing my life and making it better. Have a good one.